Want to build a team you can trust? Keep watching to learn how. Hey, it's Jacob. Welcome to this new video, and today I want to talk about people with high intelligence, high emotional intelligence, so high EQ versus technical people. And I'm talking about managers specifically, right? Which is effectively what you're going to end up being for just like hiring people and building a team, right? I'm not saying like that's what you are, because you're most likely someone that is more entrepreneurial, or managing people is like just part of what you're doing. However, for this is really one of the things that I saw, like this is a pattern for like mediocre companies versus like actually very, very successful companies, right? And so let me explain what ends up happening. So let me clear that up. Let me take like here, this is, let's say, a manager, and this is what here are like the technical people doing like the work of the technical stuff, right? And so we're gonna think, usually people think, well, this person needs to be very like emotional, that person needs to have a high emotional intelligence and to manage those people and be good at that, right? Basically. Oops, sorry for that. Oh no, wait. Okay, sorry. Let's remove this part. All right, so this person here needs to have like a very high emotional intelligence in order to manage those people. The problem ends up being that that person is putting everything into like just being very good at being emotional, but doesn't necessarily it doesn't necessarily even try to understand the problems of those people here. And the problem is, if that person keeps doing that to the technical people, then not everything can be solved by just being a good manager, right? There are things that are a little bit technical, and then you need to understand the actual problems that those people are. Because if you just do that, what ends up happening is there is going to be one technical person that is going to be, let me add it here, right? That person is going to be there, and this manager is going to trust this person here, right? And this person is going to have full power over everybody else. And guess what? Usually that is a really, really, really bad sign, because who is that person? Well, that person usually is the person that has been there the longest, right? And this is not necessarily the best one, or not even necessarily like, maybe it could even be the best one technically. However, sometimes that person doesn't necessarily like other people, or isn't necessarily a good person in terms of like emotional intelligence, right? So that means, what if this person here, and by the way, this is not a theoretical thing, like I've seen that happen again and again and again and again. Like it's that person is really, really good technically and emotionally, and that's a good person. What's the problem though? The problem is that that person here, the one with all power, doesn't like this person. There are tons of reasons that could be the cause of this, right? I'm not gonna get into it, but being jealous can be one. Being like envious, being not liking like his head, not liking, maybe, who knows what can happen, right? Maybe he that person pissed him off for some reason. Maybe it's been he was rude to that person, or who knows what could be the problem, right? But that person might be extremely, I mean, the person in blue here, that person might be extremely good at everything that they're doing, but it ends up that, okay, this is not that person doesn't like this person, and so it's like, well, it's time to go, that person, that's what that person is thinking, like, time to go, to go. And then that person here gets fired. Why? How can that even happen? That's what you might be thinking. But the thing is, if, again, the high emotional IQ, the person that makes the decision, fully trust that person, and by the way, if that person doesn't want to like look into the problems here, then that person doesn't necessarily have a choice, right? Let's call it person A. just to make it easier. Person A doesn't necessarily have a choice. It has to trust this person because it doesn't want to go and look at the problems. So that's the only way he can move forward. And if that person happened to be mediocre, then that person is going to end up firing all of the people that are better, because they are going to be like they're going to feel threatened by the better people. And so that's how you end up having a company with like just full of mediocre people. And then it's like, well, what is the solution, right? Like, because those people, like, there are also people at the top, and or this person might be at the top, and it's like, what do we do? Well, we hire more and more, and then you hire people, and then those other people here, if they're better, they end up getting fired again. And so you keep adding more people until you have only mediocre people that person tolerates. That's what usually happens when we have the wrong person that is at the top, meaning that the very high emotional IQ person trusts a person that has been there the longest, and then that person ends up doing basically making all the decisions. And I'm not gonna get into like how that can actually happen in the real world, because it's not the point of this video. But like this, basically it's as easy as, well, we don't have a process, so that person comes up with ask that other person to do something, and then it tells that person, well, it was done the wrong way because that thing was put at the wrong place, that thing happened, like whatever it can be. There is no process, so the process has not been completely fully written down. So that means that person comes up with the process afterwards, right? Once that other person did the thing. So let me clear that up. So that just means basically at the end of it, nothing gets done correctly, just because the person that is at the top is deciding that it wasn't the way it was supposed to be done. And it doesn't matter how well you do it, it's just not going to be the thing, because you can just say, well, it should have been done this way. You can basically build the process just by constructing it based on what hasn't been done by the person you want to fire. That's extremely easy to do in the real world when you are in that type of configuration. Whatever, that doesn't actually matter the way it happens. That there are tons of different ways that can happen, that the person ends up firing the other person. But let's get into like what an actual good company looks like, right? You have that person that is the manager, and that person has a high EQ, meaning is very smart emotionally, but is also at least a little bit technical. Not very, very technical, just technical enough so that that person here, let me add here the technical people. That person, let's call it person A, understand the problems of B and C. It doesn't know how to solve it. It doesn't know what it involves. It doesn't know a lot, but it understands the problems, right? And it understands them extremely well. Like it understands how, like the technical solutions, how those technical solutions are going to solve that problem. Is there a problem of communication between those two? Is there a problem of like other things that might be the root cause of the problem? So that gives that person leverage. Like the manager then has leverage to make actual decisions. And the only solution is not like just hire more, right? This is when the only solution is hire more, then there is a problem. That means like that person isn't, because you can hire like 10,000 people, but like that's, if your company is mediocre, it's going to stay mediocre. That's not the solution here. You need to have a way to have leverage and to understand the problem technically, at least a little bit, so that you can communicate with those people directly, right? You cannot have, because then you know who is lying, because some people are lying whether you like it or not, and whether like they're conscious of it or not, right? They're like, that's everybody's human, right? So these person here, they can be extremely good, but like sometimes you end up like lying by omission without necessarily knowing that you're doing it. And that person need to check and make sure that that doesn't happen. Like who lied, who did something a little bit not exactly the way it was supposed to, or like, this is the type of things that this person has to see, right? It has to have full visibility over what is happening exactly, and then adjust dynamically about what's happening. And that's how a successful company works, because then you can move forward a lot faster, and there is no like, when you're going to fire that person, it's because that person screwed up, right? It's because like he dropped the ball at some point for a specific reason. And and that's another thing here, right? Like that person here, if they actually drop the ball, then they can talk to you about it, and you can talk to them about it, meaning they can actually tell you. Sometimes you can be wrong, sometimes they can be wrong, but like you can actually talk about it, and that person can defend themselves. Like maybe there are actual legit issues that prevented that person to actually solve the problem. But the thing is, if you don't actually talk about that, like maybe if let's say it was like it's the same scenario as before, someone asked that person to do something, and then that person and then person B, so like person C asked person B to do something, and then person C says, well, it wasn't done correctly to A, right? Like let's say that's what happens. Well, then person B can tell person A, hey, look, like there was zero process written, and here's what person C gave to me, and here's what I did. And now you can ask person A, do you think that I make a mistake, or do you think that person C did not specify like that I should have done this way? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what's happening. That person can actually defend himself, right? This is like how a healthy company is working. Not when you're just delegating all the decisions to a person and you think that you can trust that person, and then I've seen it so many times, you end up being wrong. Like those people end up being wrong. And I know like that's tough, right? Because like you need to know and you need to work and be like at least a little bit technical enough to understand the problems. And I know that's a lot of work, but this is the only way forward. If you really need to hire and have like a top-notch team, I'm not talking about like a small company where you have a lot of money and you spend a lot of money for nothing, for things that are not necessarily super. If you have unlimited money, and you don't care that your company is not going to be super good, and you don't want to be like the top of the top, then you're fine. You can have a company that isn't optimized to work perfectly. But if you want to be part of the top and you want to really succeed here, and you're competing with like people that are really good, then there is no way you're going to make it if you don't have something that actually works like that. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If it was helpful and you want to be part of my community, click on the link in the description, and if I want to share something with you, I'll send you an email. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.